Welcome, everybody, to the One to Go show. It is Puka, once again joined by the Bert Lehman and the Ryan Aho. Just a real quick note here, if you could please like, subscribe, or even share the show. I mean, we bring this up every once in a while, and it's just kind of how this game works. It's how you get advertisers, it's how you get your numbers up. So if you could take a moment right now, we'd appreciate that. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us in podcast fashion, and I know most of you are right here on Facebook. So with that, we had, and most of you have seen a real crazy week of racing, mostly in one place. And, you know, Bert, you've been to many. Rocky. Bert, you've been to many USA Nationals at Cedar Lake, which we are, of course, referring to. I guess my one word for describing this one is just wild. Do you have a word that would describe this one?
Unexpected.
Yeah. Ryan, do you have one word?
But I wasn't there, but I watched it. I watched it all. I wasn't there, and I would say profitable. Profitable. The
Great
weather
word.
cooperated.
Great word.
The place was packed. They put on a hell of a show, and I think the Cedar Lake Speedway, the people running that place, I think they did okay this week.
All right, so we got lots of topics to talk about, and maybe Bert will just start with you. Where do you want to start? Whatever subject you want to start on, let's go ahead and start.
Well, we might as well start on the Tyler Erb Bobby Pierce incident, because that's what all the talk is, and you know, it was. I mean, the fact that, you know, a car crashed and there's a little bit of retaliation isn't surprising. We've all seen that before. But the level and extent that Tyler Erb took it after the initial retaliation, you know, I don't remember seeing anything like. I know some people compare it to the Bill Fry, Scott Bloomquist incident at Eldora Speedway at the Dream one year. That was the year that Jimmy Mars won the Dream. But it was quite the show by Tyler Erb. Let's just put it that way. And like I told you, Saturday night, Puka, I forgot to mention it in their after race show, but of all the drivers to be complaining about contact with other drivers and spinning out a driver, you know, Tyler Erb shouldn't complain too much because he had a rough weekend as far as contact with other cars. Took out Ryan Gustin. Was that Thursday night?
Yeah, that pissed me off. He's a mod guy, right? Mod guy. He spun out my mod guy. I wasn't real happy about that.
Yeah, I think that was Thursday.
And then he hit Gordy Gundaker in one of the heat races on Friday night, and Gundaker flipped his car, landed on the concrete fence, and his interview after I mean, that was one thing too about this year's Nationals. You know, the person doing the interviews in the infield, I mean, he went right up onto the track and talked to the drivers while they were still strapped in their cars after like, for example, that Gustin interview, after the Gustin incident, he went up to interview Gustin and asked him what happened, and Gustin's response was, "Racing with squirrels, you're going to get your nuts cracked."
Yeah, that's a good one.
So, I mean, when you talk to the drivers that soon after an incident, you're going to get quotes like that. But then when he interviewed Gundaker afterwards, Gundaker asked him, "Who hit me? Did you see who hit me?" And so, you know, that was kind of amusing all by itself.
No, I didn't. No, it actually was real calm. He's like, "Oh, I didn't see it." Of course you saw it. Everyone was looking. Okay, Ryan, I guess, or Bert, you done? Ryan, you on this?
Yeah, I'll let Ryan.
Ryan, you want to go on the? Okay.
Well, it was good stuff. At the end of the day, people are like, "Oh, he needs a lifetime ban." I talked to Casey Schumann from the World of Outlaws, and I said, "How long is the suspension?" He goes, "This suspension is as long as I'm with the World of Outlaws," is what he said. He goes, "So if it's up to Casey Schumann, then Tyler Erb, Turbo, he ain't racing World of Outlaws anytime soon." I said, "Don't you think that's a mistake?" I said, "What a marketing opportunity." I said, "You guys should really be sending them guys thank you cards, and you should be giving them free invitation to your next big event, because that will sell tickets, right? Is it right, wrong, indifferent? Should a person act that way? No. Do they? Yep, absolutely. It's just the way it is. It's the way it is. If they would have had video cameras and YouTube from all the years I raced and people before me, think about the things Eddie Wakefield did back in a modified, climbing up in the flag stand, punching the corner worker. I mean, there's crazy things have happened forever and ever. He tried to tee him up. I think he missed. You know, Dirt Vision didn't catch that part on videotape. I think he tried to tee him up and Pierce hit the gas, so he kind of missed him. Right. But then when he got to him, he kind of drove up on his nose. Now, he didn't flat out just bonsai his front end. Was it wrong? Obviously, it was wrong. Do I understand it? Yep, absolutely, I understand it. When you're a Type A guy, when you're a competitive guy, when you're hunting for a win, and not that he would have won, but I think he was in to get a solid finish. He was in the money. When somebody takes you out, you're pissed off. And when the World of Outlaws has their stupid rules, right? They got their stupid rules. Whoever stops on the track goes to the back. That creates half this problem, right? If somebody could look at that and say, well, you know what, we're going to make the call on that. It's obvious. Pierce spun him out. Pierce is going to the back. Erb gets his spot back. Like every local race across the whole country, Erb wouldn't have been so pissed. He would have been like, all right, you're going to the back, bonehead. No harm, no fault. My car's good to go. I'm still in fourth or whatever. I'm all good. But the fact that he got put to the back because obviously Pierce spun him out, that created half the problem. See, I hate that rule, and they make that rule so they don't have to have corner workers. They don't have to make a call. Is that right? Is it wrong? I think it sucks. As a racer, I hate it. And I think that's half the problem right there. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens in Florence because it's on both their schedules to go to the North-South 100. Saw them on Facebook where they had parking spots next to each other. That'd be good.
That'd be good. Talk about a marketing opportunity. They're doing it.
They sure are. So with that said, you're right. Tyler Erb, how many times have you seen him slide job 2, 3, 4 cars at a time? The guy's flat out aggressive. I mean, he's aggressive. He's fun to watch. I hate racing against him because he's a weapon. He hits everything. But same thing with Bobby Pierce, Mr. Not So. He's fun to watch too. Don't think I'd like to race against him, but he's fun to watch. So both of those people sell tickets. It's worth the price of admission to watch them go around the racetrack because something exciting is going to happen, and that's what the sport needs.
Yeah, just a few of my thoughts, and I agree, Ryan. Yeah, the more that kind of action, the better. And one comment that you didn't repeat here, Bert, that you said that night, I think on Friday night, even before the Saturday night incident, was you had hoped that Tyler Erb brought a lot of friends because he wasn't making any, and I definitely agree there. And there was, I think on Friday also, one of the announcers, was stepping in was Eshelman. Somebody called him Tsunami Bobby, and I kind of like that one, Ryan, Tsunami Bobby. But yeah, and just a couple of
that they actually created a new nickname for him, and they're selling shirts with that on. That was before the incident.
Oh, is that okay? Yeah, so that might be better than the fly swatter or the not so smooth.
That was actually kind of fitting that all that took place then on Saturday night. But I do want to mention one other thing about that incident, because of course, Bobby Pierce got sent to the pits because a crew member, his dad, was on the track, and he came to the defense of his son, obviously. And I did find it interesting that Bob Pierce, who, how old is he? In his 60s? He was the first one to the car. He got to Erb's car just before the World of Outlaw official was. So, I thought the World of Outlaw officials would get there sooner because, Erb parked his car in corner 2, sat there, and was waiting for Pierce to come around the track. So you knew something was going to happen. Now, granted, I don't think anybody expected Erb to take it to the level that he took it. Actually, when he pulled nose to nose with Pierce, it's like even that, I don't think was too far, adds a lot of excitement. The crowd was going crazy. But when he got on the gas then, like you said, he didn't, plow into him, but he got on the gas and went up on his nose a little, pushed the car back. That's when he took it too far, and then he had his little tantrum in the pit area too, and rode off the track on the back of the wrecker because outlaw officials took away his steering wheel.
I thought that was great.
Yeah, I'd never seen that. And he said in the interview, he said, I was trying to wreck him. He said, I was done.
Well,
and there was, you're Bobby, you're done now too. So he was doing everything he could. Now, one thing I mentioned to you guys, he didn't know who did it. And you could see him drive up to that Jumbotron and watch the replay. That was the interesting thing. Without a replay, this whole thing, like you said, Ryan, this dumb rule, this whole thing might not have happened. Well, without Jumbotrons, because he didn't know who did it, just like Gundaker. Gundaker didn't know who did it. If Gundaker would have looked up at that and maybe seen it, it might have been a different story, because he had plenty of time to cool off, so that was kind of an interesting tidbit, is that, how the technology is kind of coming in. And then I did mention earlier in the year, do we have the personalities? Obviously, Moyer, Bloomquist, getting towards the end of their careers. Do we have enough personalities, enough talent to kind of carry the sport? I think that kind of answered our question this year. I mean, you could throw Tyler Carpenter in there. You could throw Bronson in there. That's another incident we wanted to talk about, the Bronson Mars incident. Ryan, one last thing on this for me is – go ahead.
I was going to say how cool
I thought you said something.
Carl, how cool was it that Hot Carl rode on his car, right? So you got Hot Carl, who's basically made everybody, honestly, like everybody loves Hot Carl. So they saw that. How many people probably cheered and were like all pumped up for Tyler Erb after that? And then how funny things changed afterwards, right? So kind of crazy.
Well,
but I was going to say, too, I've seen so many things worse. So your hero, Puka, Tom Nesbitt, right? He's done far worse things than that. I mean,
probably,
this ain't even on the radar. I mean, for God's sake, the guy burnt down the judges' stand in Superior.
That's a rumor. That's a rumor.
That's a rumor, yeah. John Canto was trying to catch him, right? So he was a cop at the time. So, yeah, rumor. Right?
Rumor. That was a rumor.
Right. Koski was actually, remember when he was married to Angie, he drove Tom's car. Remember what he did to Provenzino and Hibbing?
No.
He drove all the way through the pit area at Mach 5 and T-boned Provenzino's car in the pits. So he got kicked out for that. So I've seen far worse things than what went on. I think the worst thing on the whole deal was when he sped off with the official in his cockpit and about ran over the official. That was probably the worst thing. But him running into somebody's car, now, had he connected, if Pierce wouldn't have hit the gas, he tried to wreck him there. Like, he tried to stab him good, and Pierce hit the gas, and that's when he missed and kind of had to turn around. That could have been ugly.
Yeah.
Right? But what he did there, should he be in trouble for it? Yep. Should he get his money taken away? Yep. Should we kick him out forever? Hell no. We need him back next week.
Go ahead, Bert.
I wanted to just comment on the Hot Carl thing, because when we were watching the intros and Hot Carl was riding along with Tyler Erb, I said to Puka, I said, boy, Erb had to get a bodyguard to protect him.
Yeah. Yeah, because those ex-boys, they stick together.
But I want to say one more thing about Tyler Erb. I did watch his interview at Dirt on Dirt afterwards, and he was unapologetic, which, I'm okay with that. You don't have to apologize. But he said some things that, in the future, if Pierce is ever in a position to win a race, he's going to flat out take him out. He's not going to let him win any big race in the future. The only thing that does, it just puts a spotlight on him. So, officials are going to be watching him a little bit closer because of some of these comments that he's made.
Well, and he's a fantastic interview. I mean, other than the F-bomb, the F-bombs are good, but then you got to watch who's in the room with you. Like when I'm in a hotel room with an 11-year-old, I'm trying to play the thing at 9 in the morning. I'm like, whoa, maybe put my AirPods in. But, and he did say, is it one thing I give them guys credit for? They build a tough race car because you have to keep up with that mother beep. It was so funny. But Ryan, he did make an interesting point, and you as a racer might be able to relate. He said, basically, our locker room is open to the public. We have no privacy. What did you think of that comment? That is one thing that, I never really thought of, as tempers flare. What do you have to say about that?
Well, that's exactly it. But you're a public figure. You're always in the spotlight. I mean, it's no different than any professional athlete. I don't care if you play football, hockey, whatever. The press is in every one of them locker rooms too, right? The press, if you go to any professional sport, the press is in the locker room, always. Now, the public may not be, but the public is, right? Because let's be honest, if something crazy interesting happens inside any one of them locker rooms, you don't think the media is going to have that posted all over anywhere? So that's just the way it is. If you're racing cars or if you're in sports, you're a public figure, and there's always eyes on you, always. And that's changed. Back when I was racing, there was flip phones. You didn't have a a camera on your phone. You didn't have video. You didn't have YouTube. You didn't have all that stuff. It wasn't a big deal. But that's the world we live in today. So he already knows that. And, you know, I mean, let's face it, the kid's a hothead. You know, I kind of like it about him, really, because he's got some fire. I'd rather have that than some boring kind of lame, oh, you know, I'm just happy to be here type. No, like I want somebody with some fire, because that's exciting for the sport. You got to have it. Do I agree with everything he says? Probably not. But the fact is, it's exciting, but you got to watch it. I mean, heck, he got arrested for punching, you know, Hudson O'Neal in Volusia, right? So he's already been suspended, you know. So I mean, let's face it, he's got to be a little smarter with what he's doing out there, because there's always an eye on you, and that's just the way it is.
All right, take two here. How about the Mars Bronson incident? Bert and I talked a little bit about it, you know, already. Ryan, maybe we'll give you the first stab at this. Too aggressive, just right. You know, I mean, hey, it's passing points. You had to do what you had to do.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think it was too aggressive. I mean, he drove up the racetrack. He was taking it from him. He didn't come here to get second. He came there to win. He knew that point, that spot mattered. That spot made a big difference, right? So he needed that spot. And that's just the way it is. He didn't body slam him into the concrete. He squeezed him into the fence. You know, I mean, it is what it is. He did it. I mean, I think he'll own the fact that he did it. I love what he said afterwards, right? Because, again, it's playing into the personalities. We've talked about this on the show. You need that. You need that, right? And he's like, you know what? Maybe some of his fans come down and buy a shirt afterwards. I'm like, that is great. That's great.
Yeah, it was good.
You know, and I'm a Jimmy Mars fan. I like Jimmy. You know, but Jimmy probably chuckled when he heard it himself, you know, because Jimmy understands marketing. He understands this racing business. Heck, he's a promoter, so he gets it. You know, so, you know, nobody got really hurt there. I mean, he squeezed him in the wall. Was it aggressive? Yeah, too aggressive? Hell no. You're racing for $50,000 to win. And I've heard people say, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Bloomquist said, I run over. Somebody said it. I saw it on Dirt, I think. I'd run over my mom to win. Hell, I think it was Tony Stewart said it. I'd run over my mom to win. Hell, I'd run over your mom to win. You know, it is. I mean, you don't come with a, well, you know, I couldn't quite get by him. No, racing can be a contact sport. And from like Harry Hodge said, he didn't slam him, bump him, crash him. He rubbed them, and rubbing, son, is racing.
Racing, yeah, that's right. Well, Bert, you know, you've been around late model racing a long time, and after, you know, thinking about some of these incidents, like Ryan was saying, Turbo. I mean, we saw him. You know, he did slide 2-3 cars at a time in heats, and the Bronson slider. And just over the last few years, it seems like there's been more sliders than ever. Do you agree? To me, I'm just making an observation. Would you agree, Bert? And you can comment on the Bronson deal.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean. I've seen races at Eldora, and at Eldora, that's almost the only way you can pass is to do sliders. In some instances, I mean, you want to see sliders done, go to watch the races at Eldora. They're doing sliders almost every lap. I mean, I don't have a problem with sliders. And regarding the Mars Bronson incident, I saw the replay today, and it was just good hard racing. I mean, Bronson was going for the win in a passing points format. You know, every point counts. And I was actually surprised Jimmy gave him as much space as he did. I thought Jimmy would enter 3 and 4 and stay lower than what he did. I mean, maybe his car wouldn't stay down there and it drifted up to allow for the extra room. But I mean, Bronson definitely took the whole track coming out of 4. I mean, he went from the bottom to the top and squeezed Jimmy against the wall. But I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that's one of the things we like about dirt racing is it's not asphalt racing where, you know, it just, you know, follow the leader and you make passes without contact. So, and I didn't have a problem with what Bronson said afterwards either. I mean, like Ryan said, I mean, that got the crowd riled up a little bit again. And I mean, as this USA Nationals was great for quotes from drivers.
Yeah. Okay, Ryan, any more on that topic, or we move on?
Well, plain and simple, it's dirt racing. If you don't like rubbing, slide jobs, quarter paneling people, it's your own asphalt.
Very good. I love the play on words. All right, so and it's not the USA Nationals, not just about the National Series of World of Outlaws. There's, you know, the great, you know, what they call them, I guess, the NASCAR late models now, or, you know, the Wazota late models, and they put on a great show. And if you hadn't heard of a young late model pilot named Jesse Glenns heading into the weekend, you definitely knew who Jesse Glenn's in. Now it kind of reminds me of 5-7 years ago when Demo kind of put the smackdown on everybody at the USA Nationals in both of those shows, and he ran really well in the Outlaws. But then it was like 5 days later that social media is blowing up that Jimmy Mars hired AJ Demo, and because AJ Demo was just bad fast that weekend. So like I said, he kind of put his name on the map there. Ryan, did you get to see clips of that?
Yeah, I watched both features, and I like to call him Mr. September because he was phenomenal at invite time last year. He had some photo finishes there, right? I think he actually was a demo that he passed. We were talking about for a photo finish at the Punky last year that was absolutely incredible finish, and he had another one the first night. And it kind of broke my heart. I'm a little bit pissed off about it because I picked James Nitro Giassi to win. And I'm like, man, I was right. I picked my guy. He won. And no, Bert broke my heart because Bert picked Jesse Glenn's and he beat him by like a half a nose. So there you go, Bert. But, hey, a one to go show shout out. We were 1, 2, 3, right? We were 1, 2, 3 that first night. So all three of our picks finished all three of our picks finished in the top 3. Giassi was good. Giassi was lap traffic the second night. Demo with a couple top 3s. He ran good again. So is he hitting his stride as well? So there was some good racing in that, local late model. I will call it local late model series. There was some good racing in that as well. Daryl Nelson, guys, I don't know what he was doing in the heat races. Must have had some bad draws or whatever.
Bad draws, bad draws.
He started deep, and boy, he put on a show. 18th, the 3rd. Is that what he did the second night?
Second night, something like he was incredible because all of a sudden there was a caution. I'm like, Daryl won the B, at that point he's like 9th. It's like this is incredible. And another guy that had to go through the B's both night was Pat Dorr because he started in the back, but he did get lapped the second night. He passed some cars the first night. But yeah, Bert, what do you think? What do you want to give a shout out to our Tyler McDonald too, Bert?
Yeah, the racing for the local late models was phenomenal. I've been following Jesse Glenn's for the last few years. I had the pleasure to interview him a few years ago for at that time Dirt Modified magazine, Dirt late models, because he was racing a late model at that time. But he's a great interview. I didn't know anything about him really before I interviewed him. And, he started in the B mods, and he said he moved up because the B mods weren't fast enough. And then he went to the mods, and he said the mods weren't fast enough. So now he's in a division where it's a little bit faster. And, he, after his win at Punky Manor last year and this win, it just proves that he doesn't give up until he has crossed the finish line. Because he will, with 2 laps to go, I looked at the distance between him and Giassi, and I just didn't think he had enough time to make that up, and he proved me wrong. Although I did hear an interview with Giassi the next day, and he said that he did get a little bit conservative. And I've heard other drivers say this, and sometimes leading isn't a good thing because you don't know what the drivers behind you are doing. So, that kind of proved to be the case in that situation.
Yeah, I told my brother, he was marching, and my brother was just, cheering. I said, gosh, he dug so hard to get into second, well, even third, at that one restart. I said, his tires are done. He melted them off. And just like you, Bert, there was, I don't think there was anybody that thought he was going to win that race until maybe when he entered corner 3. Even then, it was like there's no way. And it was just incredible. The crowd went berserk, Ryan. It was awesome.
And those two are best friends, right?
Yeah.
Giassi and Jesse Glenn's are tight. So think about NFL football, right? How many times you see at the end of the game the team goes to prevent defense, and how often do you see that prevents them from winning? And that's what Giassi did. He did let up just a little bit, and that opened the door. And Jesse Glenn's, he slammed it shut. So yeah, you can't do that. And Giassi, that's going to stick with him. It will, because like he had it won, and then he didn't quite push it, and it's like, man, oh man, it's like, oops, he won't do that again, So another guy, that he came off a win at the Mater 55, Buzzy Adams. Guys, he was running second, and then all of a sudden he expired a motor. I don't know what it was, but there was some smoke he pulled off. But I would have loved to seen him not have motor issues, because he would have been, a top 3 car. And what could he have done the second night? So, Buzzy Adams is going to be a guy to watch in that 40 car as well. In just a tough break, he was bad enough on Friday that he didn't even come back on Saturday, did he? He was not even there.
No,
he didn't. No.
I was watching that race, and the car started smoking, and there are actually flames coming out from underneath in the motor area. So I would imagine it was oil or something leaking out. I don't know.
Yeah,
it wasn't good.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, and that Tyler McDonald, I believe it was his first time at the track. Very impressive. Obviously he had a good starting spot both nights, but that first night, very impressive. Got out to a big lead, and those two youngsters, Jossie and Glenn's, tracked him down, and then he did end up starting on the pole the second night. I can't exactly remember where he finished. I think maybe third or fourth, but like I said, first time being there, talked to his dad a little bit, and his dad even raced the B to get in and said, guys, I'm just trying to keep up with my son.
That's a tough task.
Like I said, guys like that is what kind of make. Go ahead.
Yeah, Tyler McDonald was a hell of a driver in the modified too. He's a good driver. David McDonald, he's still a good driver, but Tyler's going to be a guy to watch. And I'm super excited that them and Scott Ward made the trip over from South Dakota to this race, because I'm going to be honest with you, where's Chad Becker? Aberdeen didn't race. He went to Miller to race against 12 cars. I'm sorry. Really? Come on. Kill him. He just won a 10 grand to win. I don't know. I don't know nothing about Chad's business or what he does or whatever, but, I really like seeing some of these top guys come down and race on a big stage, like the USA Nationals. So as a race fan, I appreciate the fact that the McDonald's made the trip to Cedar Lake, because it just adds that much more to the program.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Oh, I agree. I agree. I used to love Ryan when you and Provenzino would come down in the early 2000s. It was the appreciation. I remember Eddie Kirchhoff coming from Gillette, Wyoming, and then they kind of raced the whole circuit around here. But yeah, it would have been nice to get a few more of those. Even some of the Iowa cars weren't really there for the big stuff. Jake Tim was there, which is awesome. Sorensen was there. Who else did we have on the local side that were travelers, Bert?
Yeah,
you got some from
Sorensen, Jake Tim.
Yeah,
but even on the Wazota side, who did we have? I'm trying to think of some of the names.
Chad Mader was the only driver to qualify for the big show. Local. I don't consider Jimmy Mars a local, driver from that standpoint. So, Mader was the only one to qualify for the big feature. And I was surprised, I was looking at Thursday night's results, and actually Nick Evelink was the only local to qualify for that feature. As far as, the Wissota type drivers.
Well, another guy that made his way down there, Puka, is Jeffrey Massengill.
Oh, yeah. Jeffrey.
And I believe he got 10th both nights. So, you got 40 cars. He rattled off a couple more top 10 finishes there at Cedar Lake. So he didn't do very well in the World of Outlaws car. He says, man, that's a learning curve. He's used to racing locally in, Superior, Hibbing, Proctor Rapids, and getting into that deal is a big learning curve. But, a couple solid top 10 finishes for him. And then Bayenhoffs, weren't they there too?
Yeah, there's two more. Yeah. Nick and Nate were there. Yep. Yeah, that was awesome to see again. And they both won heats on different nights, but they both won heats, yeah.
Are they from Iowa?
Yeah, Rock Rapids, Iowa. Yeah. So that was great. So that's what I mean. In the early 2000s, I've seen Arment race there. I've seen Gelling race there. We'd see Rick Auckland's kid would come. Mitch would come. We'd have a lot of the Canadian drivers would come down. And so it's still a festival of late models. And like I said, both divisions per se are awesome, but that's really the only time of year that I get to see, a guy like Dave McDonald or Tyler McDonald, or even Anvilink, unless I go back to Cedar Lake, I'm not going to see him again. So it's great when those guys come in and just adds, because I think they had 40 cars Friday, Bert, right? On the Wazota side, 40 or 42, and then they dropped
40
one
both
with
nights.
Buzzy.
40 both nights.
Or 40 both nights.
Two left and two showed up on Saturday.
Was Anvilink the only Eastern Wisconsin car there?
Yes. And
where was Richie?
Well, both Plymouth and Shawano raced on Saturday night, but I thought maybe Brett Swedberg would come to the show since he's already missed a night at Shawano. but he stayed home. I mean, Shano had a whopping 10 late models. I mean, me personally, for this weekend, I wish for the weekend of the USA Nationals, I wish Shano Speedway would just not have let the late models have the night off, and let them travel to Cedar Lake if they want to race in that event. But yeah, Nick was the only Eastern Wisconsin driver there. I did find it interesting that Demo did race with the World of Outlaws on Thursday night, but he sucked pretty bad, and then he just concentrated on the local stuff the next 2 nights. He didn't even try to qualify for the outlaw portion of the USA Nationals. So sometimes you just have to concentrate on where you think you have the best chance of for example, also, Jimmy Mars was supposed to, he was racing both. He was supposed to race in a B on Saturday night, but he didn't come out, I'm assuming because he wanted to make sure he got all the changes that needed to get done to his outlaw car so he could place well in that, which turned out to work out pretty well for him as he finished third.
You know what frosts me? You want to know what literally just makes my blood boil, pisses me off beyond all things, is when you have late model drivers who hop in a vehicle and they drive down there and watch. It's like,
I saw a few of those.
What is wrong with you? Especially if they're running good. I can see, if a driver's struggling and he just ain't running good, he's like, I'm not going to waste money. But if you're running good and then you kind of puss up and don't go, they should just take your man card away, right? And that'll get you booted right out of the top 10 in the power rankings. Gone. Your name will no longer be in the top 10. You're booted. If you're running good and then you come down there to watch and you're like, I'm just not going to race. Sorry, you're no longer in the top 10. So that just makes my blood boil. I mean, I just don't get it. As a racer, I'm like, if I can race, I'm going to race. I'm not going to go watch. I'm not a fan. I'm a racer. What are you talking about? I'm going to go watch, drink beer. What? Sell your race. Why do you buy a $50,000 late model if you're going to park it at home and race for $600 to win? Are you kidding me? They finally have money on the line. Go race. Pisses me off. Jake Radetsky wasn't there. I think he hurt an engine or he hurt something pretty bad up in Superior. He had to miss the mater too. That's another car that would have for sure been there had there been, had he not had issues. But boy, speaking of people not being there, what's your guys' thoughts on Davenport, McCready, Richards, Lanigan? Why?
Yeah, I got a text message. From a guy.
Lanigan was there.
Or Clanton.
Lanigan was there.
Clanton.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I went back and forth on it, especially, T-Mac and Davenport, who can get past champion provisionals, and especially in a year of COVID where I'm assuming they've raced a lot less than what, they normally would do. So I kind of went back and forth. COVID, you should be racing. The track, though, we've heard people say in the past, that constant tilling, constant misting. Me and Bert talked a couple of times that the track just widened out nice in the heats, and then they'd go and mist. And as you know, Ryan, it's a little tougher on equipment. We've heard complaints about that. We've also heard complaints about the double heats, Bert.
Yes, we have.
So, that was Davenport. So, they raised the purse to $3,000 to start. So you'd want to, you're expecting people to show. Did it take away from the show for me personally? No, because people that I wanted to see were there. But like I said, I got a text from a guy said, I brought my son. Where's T-Mac? I've got a T-Mac shirt for my son. He's wearing it. Where's T-Mac? Where's Richards? What's going on here? And like we've always said, we talked about this with the Aberdeen Rumble and such. People complain we don't have enough high-paying races. They put together a high-paying race, and then they don't show up.
John Carty was blowing up my phone, right? And he's an avid listener of the show, but he was beside himself that some of these guys weren't there. And I understand Davenport, because Davenport, if you guys don't know, he's farmer. He was a farmer, and this past weekend was harvesting. I think he was harvesting, picking cherries. So he went and raced against a bunch of scrubbers, and what's funny about that is he couldn't even win there. He got like freaking fifth. He was battling for second. He backpedaled to fifth against a bunch of nobodies. It's like, so he was picking cherries. He was harvesting with his new cherry farm. The rest of them, I really have no idea. I mean, maybe the droop rule. I don't know, because most of them guys are Lucas Oil guys.
Yeah.
I know Thornton. He gets paid to race that modified, and he won. That's my pick. Again, heartbroken. I'm like, RTJ. There's my pick, right? Then all of a sudden I hear that after we get done with the show, he ain't coming. I'm like, really? But I was right. He did win. I mean, he won a $7,000 to win Mod Show up at Park Jefferson, so he still did win, if that counts for anything. But I just
throw him in the power rankings.
Yeah. He modified power rankings. We'll put him number one. But the fact is, it sucked that some of them guys didn't go, but it still had. You still had number 1, 2, and 3, right? 1, 2, and 3 in the whole country as far as open late models go, were there, right? Yeah. And you can put them in whatever order you want. I put Bishop 1, and then I think I might put Overton second, Owens third, but that's very debatable, right? But I think we all agree that that's 1, 2, and 3, and they were all there. And then I don't think the crowd left there, even though some of them guys were missing. I don't think the crowd left and goes, man, I sure wish T-Mac was there. No, I think they got a good show. I think they got their money's worth. So hats off to the Cedar Lake Speedway, and I just shake my head at some of them people. I really don't understand it. They race. Bert hit the nail on the head. They race for money. It's their profession, and they're going to take. Well, we need a week off. We just had last week off. Like what? What are you talking about? I don't get it. But I guess that's to each their own or whatever. And I really don't know. We can talk about the format here. I mean, I know Davenport's cried like a baby about it, right? Oh, I hate the double heat format. I hate it. You guys are race fans, and I'll weigh in last. What do you think about the format, and what would you do differently? What are some other options? What do you think as a fan could be different than what it is?
Well, me personally, I love the format. I mean, you get to see more racing. The racing is more exciting from beginning to end because you're scrambling for every point that you can get. I mean, a single point can make the difference, of qualifying in the top 16 or not. I mean, I understand, the elite drivers are used to starting up front and they don't necessarily want to have to race through the pack. But the thing that really irks me about Davenport's complaining about the format last year was that incident with him and Boom Briggs had nothing to do with the format, because Davenport had a flat tire in that heat. He came to the pitch, changed his tire, and was driving like a bat out of hell to try to get into a finishing position. So even if it wasn't for points, he would have been in the back trying to get – actually, it would have been more important for him to get to the front if it wasn't points racing. And I know Boom Briggs was complaining about it last year. Well, I watched Boom Briggs go from first to last in a single lap in his heat race. And so I don't think you can cater to the outlaw regulars. I mean, we've talked about this a lot on this show. Racing is entertainment, and you have to provide entertainment to the fans. And I think this format provides that entertainment. I mean, that's just my personal opinion.
The heats when Cedar Lake ran it as an independent show from about 2006 until around 2010. Then the Outlines finally convinced them, go with the outlaw route. When you time trialed, number one time trialer started heat 1 4th, like the old UMP style. And those heats were good. They were very intense. It was the year Casey, one of those years Casey, remember he put McDowell into the wall in the backstretch. I remember one year T-Mac in the Rocket passed Bloomquist. The whole place stood up, went crazy. So they were really intense. Then when the outlaw format came in, you knew exactly what was going to happen. Tim Fuller, fast time, heat 1 on the pole. Boring. So then last year they go and change it. I'm a huge fan of it. The outlaw format doesn't work for a crown jewel. It works when the come to Superior because you're not really there. I mean, you're there to see good racing per se, but you're also just kind of there to see the stars, But if you're going to see good racing, you either got to do the old UMP style or you need to do the double heats. It's just that way. Otherwise, you're putting that fast guy in the front row. He's just going to zing around, and the heats are pretty just irrelevant.
Yeah, I totally agree. And Boom Briggs, I mean, he passed the most cars in that heat. It went from first to last. I mean, the wrong way, right? I don't think you get passing points for that. And that's why he don't like it, because let's be honest, he don't pass anybody. I mean, might be a nice guy, whatever, but let's just be honest, he's not the guy that's coming from the back to win. Now, there's two ways of looking at this. I love the way they do it now. I agree 100% with Bert that the double heat format, it provides entertainment. There's multiple races. If a guy has a fairly rough first heat, they still have that second heat to make up some ground, so it gives them another chance. I like it. But there is one alternative. Now, it costs the problem is it costs the track a little bit more money, and it also would add more time to the program just by a little bit. I also like the format, like if they ran like Thursday night and say they ran for 6, 8, 10 grand to win, and they took 6, and then like Friday night they ran another complete show, and then if you say you got 6 the first night, you could opt out of that and run the second show and slide somebody up. But take 6 from the first night, 6 from the second night, that's your inside and outside row, and then roll everybody into C's, B's, and A's. That's another way to do it. What I've seen tracks do in the past, though, that sucks is a lot of times when they do that, they don't pay a real purse for the first 2 nights because they call it a qualifying feature and everybody's racing for free. That makes all the racers crazy mad. So they'd have to generate enough revenue to pay that 6, 8, 10 grand to win each of them first 2 nights. That would be another way to do it. So where if you had a horrible first night, you could still race in on the second night and have a legitimate shot starting outside pole. So that would be the only alternative, but you can't just run heats one day and features the next. There's just not enough entertainment value there. So I as a race fan, I watched every bit of it. I watched it all on Dirt Vision. I was not disappointed. I thought it was a great program. And I, as a fan, I have absolutely no complaints. As a driver, that other alternative might be something, but man, they made a ton of money, guys. I'm telling you, that place was packed. I did the math on how many people kind of came in and roughly, and I did the math on what they pay out. They did okay. I don't think they did make many changes.
We were talking Saturday at 5 o'clock. What'd your wife say, Bert? There are 3 types of beer they already sold out. The New Glarus, the Limeys. Was there something? I mean, this is 5 o'clock on Saturday. Like, people are pouring in. Right. And it's you're sold out of this beer. So yeah, it was like I said, it's a complete festival of late models. Absolutely love it. Can't wait till next year. Tickets are booked, hotels booked, everything. We're ready to go, kind of thing.
Yeah, I might have to join you. I might have to join you next year.
Yeah, I don't think COVID had any impact on this show whatsoever. So it's good to see that people are still living their lives and still having fun.
Yeah. Well, a couple of quick notes before we wrap up Cedar Lake. So as I was sitting there Saturday, they said we're gonna go with opening ceremonies pretty quick, and they're just kind of waiting there. Not that I was angry or anything, but I'm just kind of like, okay, the Jamie English, she comes up from Nashville every year to sing the anthem. We're kind of sitting there, and then the light bulb goes off. Oh yeah, that's right, the flyover. So they do a flyover on Saturday night, and then they do fireworks shoot off when the Rockets red glare during the anthem. Nothing at Cedar Lake is random for this event. When it's time to till the track, they don't turn on like back in the day when I used to first start going to Cedar Lake. It was Cool 108, the oldie station, right? And then later it turned to country. They're playing Sweet Caroline. I'm out getting sweatshirts on Saturday. They played it every night when there was downtime. I'm out getting sweatshirts, parked out in the field because you can't get parking. All you hear out there is bop, bop, bop. Sorry, audience, I'm not a singer, but it's like, and then they play the cha-cha slide. Like, it's not random, and then you leave the races and there's 2 or 3 of the coffins out there. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. I don't think I've ever been thanked in another racetrack, but every detail there, and this is the biggest show. It's like, you really don't even need the detail because 3/4 of the track is 15 beers deep. They might not even notice the detail, but a sober guy like me, I noticed it, and so like I said, it's just an incredible event that they keep trying to make better. I got to see the pits down, the concrete in the pits. I talked to Rick Eckert. He said, this is fantastic. He said, this was the pits were known as a sandbox here. He said, I love this concrete. So they're doing everything they can to make it a great event for fans.
Well, and speaking of Rick Eckert, we got to give a shout out to him. I mean, finishing second in the feature.
One of these guys too. So I wore the shirt. Thank you, everybody with the fans fund too. It was a great, thanks for everything you've done and all the volunteering.
I thought that, he was past his prime and, he wasn't, he's a fan favorite, he'll come in, collect his money. I mean, he'll race, but, he's not going to be in the mix. And I mean, during those last few cautions, Pook and I were talking. He said, Eckert could win this thing yet.
Yeah, he was,
he started there. 12th. And he started 12th. It's not like he just got second. He just kind of hung on. He passed cars. I mean, he was racy. He looked good. And we have to give a shout out to Jimmy Mars too, right? He was a guest on our show, and hometown guy there. He got a solid third place finish. And Bloomquist, he finished up there. I mean, some of them, maybe Bloomer.
I don't think Bloomer passed too many cars. We were talking, my son was talking to him a bit after, and I started thinking about it. It's like, I'm sure he passed a few, but yeah, but I remember back in 2010-ish, 11, I think it was the last time he won. It was really muddy. That was the night, Bert, we were there forever because it rained. And he said sometimes you need a tough car to get to the end because only like 8 cars finished. That was the year that he pitted with like 14 or 15 laps to go. There's only like 10 cars still racing. So he put all 4 on, started at the back, and ended up passing Moyer. And that was like the only crown jewel that year that Moyer didn't win in that victory circle. But, there's a point to that. You got to have your shit together in order to get to this finish line, especially when Cedar Lake's going to till the track. It's going to be tacky at the start and that whole deal. So, and so, like I said, he might not have passed cars, but he was there in the end is what matters, right?
Another driver that I want to make a mention of, and Ryan will like this because I'm going to talk about a modified driver. Kyle Strickler can drive a late model. I watched him throughout the nights there. I mean, he won the Fans Fun Dash race, and in other races he was running well. He got up to in the top 10 at one point in the feature, but then I think he faded a little bit. But if he keeps going the way he's going, I mean, he's going to be a driver to reckon with in the late model ranks. So that was good to see. And I mean, we have to mention Overton. I mean, he's the driver who actually won the race.
Yeah, we forgot about him.
But I just want to say, about 40 laps into the race, and that's kind of how long it takes for the track to clean off after they do the farming. But I was thinking to myself, whoever can make the bottom of the track work is going to win this race. And Overton, actually, he wasn't even racing the bottom. He was racing right in the middle. And actually, that's where Madden raced last year, if you remember. I mean, he drove right in the middle of the track, not up on the cushion, not way down low, but right in the middle. So it seems to be, if you can make your car work in the middle late in the race, you're going to have some success there.
Yeah, and he looked like a NASCAR driver on the asphalt. I mean, he just was sideways, just smooth as silk, just lap after lap, just like, I guess racers call it, hit their marks. And he just, he was super impressive, super fast all weekend. Of course, he won Thursday night. He brought him a lot of money from Wisconsin. So, all right. Is that kind of all we got on Cedar? We ready to move?
We got one more thing on Cedar. We got to talk about the 13-year-old.
Oh, yeah. Yes, yeah. Well, Gavin Terrace, right? Is that the correct last name? Yeah, so USRA, Ryan's favorite, the USRA Limited or / Crate Late Models Thursday night. Go ahead, Bert. You could take it away.
Well, Gavin Terrace, 13 years old. He won his heat race, and there were a lot of good quotes this year. He had one of the top quotes of the weekend. The announcer was talking to him about the heat win and, if he had a chance to win the feature, and his response was, well, I didn't come here to finish second. And so, that's the G-rated version of the Tyler Carpenter St. Louis saying. But anyway, then he wound up starting on the pole in the feature and led the good majority of the feature, did get past late in the race and did finish second. But, I mean, for a 13-year-old, he has nothing to be ashamed of, that's for sure.
Yeah, very impressive. Yeah, and then of course a huge ovation after he said that too. So everyone, everyone was aware he was 13, and very impressive. So all
And
right,
Puka, I know your son was watching him a lot because he was very impressed with the 13-year-old.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's what he thinks what he's going to be doing when he's 13, and I'm trying to tamper those expectations. So all right, Ryan. Or anything else, Bert? You're trying to say
Well,
something?
one more thing. How's your head?
Okay. Oh yeah. Here.
Hey, that's
So
a good
race
thing that
fans.
hit you in the head instead of hit you somewhere else. You're pretty hard-headed. I talked to Heather.
Yeah.
She said, you get hit there, ain't going to hurt a thing.
So this is this year's rock. Took her off the skull. I was leaking pretty bad, but we came back yesterday. Not even a headache. This is my third pretty decent one. This is Proctor in about 2002, and then Cedar Lake about 2003. We're sitting by one of the reasons we moved from the flagstaff to get hit by a rock. Well, you get closer to turn 4, and then this is, and the crazy thing is, it was only at the starts. And Ryan, I don't know if you know the geometry on this. We're just trying to figure out how they're coming up. Are they spinning into the car behind them, and the car's coming with velocity, and then they're bouncing up? We're trying to, and then we're at the very top row of the aluminum seats, so we're not, and it's like, that's a pretty decent sized rock. It's just, we've been all weekend, we kept trying, because this happened right away Thursday night there was a second caution, I believe, in the World of Outlaw main event. They came around to take the green. I watched them. I looked at the green. I looked at the cars, and I got lit up. and then we got hit with a few more. The kids got hit, people, but smaller ones. But it's only at the start when they're tucked in, and then maybe the next lap. But other than that, I don't know. And then I've heard sometimes when they turn the wheel, they pinch them. But they're getting big fence.
That's coming off the right rear. That ain't coming off a front tire, not with that kind of velocity, right?
So I can't hear you, Ryan. Can you hear him, Bert?
Yeah, I can hear him.
Oh, that was my fault. Somewhere along the line with the rocks, I hit the mute button.
Way to go, rookie. Way to go. So that's coming off the right rear. That's not coming off the front with that kind of velocity. And, that's one of the things with dirt track racing is you got to keep your head on a swivel, because no matter how hard they work on that track, no matter how much they pick the rocks, it's dirt. There's going to be rocks in it. It is what it is. And, you guys might want to consider moving up, or finding a different place to sit, moving up top in the back straightaway. I don't know what to tell you, but maybe get up in that booth or something. But yeah. It's I saw the picture, and you kind of had a whole bunch of red Kool-Aid on the. You must have dropped some Kool-Aid on the ground there, huh?
Yeah, on the rocks there. Yeah. So, but yeah, I told my wife we might have to spend the extra money for the VIP next year for safety reasons.
No, you can't do that because you sit right in front of me, so you're my butler.
I'm your rock protector. Yeah.
Well, that's good. That's a good host of the show right there, is taking one for the team. That probably was going right at Bert, and it was nice of you to step in. So Bert, you should probably thank him for that.
Yeah, and it's crazy when you're not ready for it. It just like I said, completely lit me up, and then I'm like this. I said I'm bleeding, and then my brother says I'm chewing gum, so we're up there getting bandaged up. It's intense. I want to get back to the feature. Every time I take a bite out of the gum, blood would squirt out. So I'm like, gosh, thanks for telling me now. After I'm all bandaged up, he tells me he should have said spit out the gum, but so yeah, doing fine. So all right, time to move on. We'll get the show going here. So Ryan, you there was racing outside of Cedar Lake this weekend. You were up at the Viking Speedway, up in the booth with the announcing duties. I totally had planned on going to the USA Nationals. My buddy Jeff Krause, of course, he's the board member over at the Viking Speedway. He said, hey, our announcer can't be there. Can you announce? I'm like, never did a whole show by myself, but hey, I'll give it a whirl, and had a lot of fun doing that. And so it's really good to get down to the Viking Speedway in Alexandria, be able to kind of say my piece there. Had a lot of fun doing it. And just a small tidbit on the Wissota racing, Shane Zabrowski's the man. Oh, my God. 4 for 4 again this week, right? So they had a pair of, I think they were 1,000 to win each night. There might have been just a titch less at I-94 on Friday, but he won both super stock features. He killed them in Alexandria. Then he won the modified feature in Alexandria. Then he just randomly hops in another guy's B-mod in I-94. He wins that too. So it's like, when he shows up, it's like everybody just got to go shake their head and go, all right, what's second pay?
because, 4 for 4 again. The guy is absolutely on a mission, and it's a treat. It really is, as a race fan and enthusiast, it's a treat to watch somebody that good dominating the way that he is. I really feel bad for him that there's no Wissota points. I really do, because he'd be on top of both classes right now, no doubt. And he's got to be the biggest loser in the season when it comes to the extra money from the Wissota Championships, because I don't think anybody have anything for him this year.
Yeah, very impressive. And the Streak Stock Tour wrapped up?
No, it did not wrap up. It was supposed to wrap up. Johnny Carter, actually Eric Riley was leading the points, still is. Johnny Carter won over in Jamestown. I saw a little drama there on Facebook. Riley was a little upset. Sounds like there might have been a questionable call. I did not see it, but I did see his posts, and it wasn't politically correct. He kind of said it how it is. And Cheyenne Speedway rained out on Sunday, but they rescheduled that race for a couple weeks from now, and it's coming down to the wire. 2 points separate first and second. If Johnny Carter wins and Riley finishes anywhere third or back, that'll actually tie. Okay, so there's a potential that they could tie for the points, and then they got to come down to a tiebreaker. So it's going to be interesting going into that last night at the Cheyenne Speedway. That event will be on Dirt Race Central, so I will be watching it, because them Street Stocks guys, they've been putting on some really, really good shows.
Well, speaking of some good shows, the Woo Sprints, you were able to catch some of their action over the weekend?
Yeah, my buddy Keith, he's our expert sprint car analyst here, and he says, man, you got to jump on and watch this. And I did. His brother, Jeff, actually is our late model analyst. He's been kind of giving me some tidbits there as well. But both of them gave me some information, and I watched. I watched on Dirt Vision, of course. They had the Iron Man, and Kyle Larson, he's the Iron Man. He's the number one guy in the world, in sprint car racing in the world right now. But it was interesting. Guys, it was a hell of a race. If you didn't get a chance to watch that, jump on Dirt Vision. It was really good. Kyle Larson just about went over. Rico hit
him. I heard that.
Rico dumped him and just body slammed him up into the cushion, and Kyle Larson just about toppled it. He saved it. He got back on the gas. He drove up front and won, put on a hell of a show. And in the points deal, 20 points separates the top three. The late model points it's like pathetically separated between first and second. But the sprint car points, 20 points separates the top three right now. Sweet's leading. I think they're actually tied. I think
Schuhart and Schatz are tied.
For second, 20 points back. And Knoxville coming up. This was supposed to be Knoxville Nationals week, right? And they're still having a huge World of Outlaw sprint car show at Knoxville. Of course, not all the fans, a little different deal. But if you are a sprint car fan, you have got to see the list of people that are coming. It's a who's who of sprint car racing. And even Joey Saldana, I haven't heard that name all year. He drove for Dan Motter. He's going to be there. So, it's a stacked field for this deal down at Knoxville, and I'll be watching that this weekend for sure.
And just a note on Knoxville, I talked to Chris Simpson a little bit, and he said that the late model nationals down there at Knoxville will take place. He said they're going to open the backstretch, which they normally don't do, so fans can be on both sides to social distance. So that is good news for late model fans in the Midwest, Upper Midwest. That race in Iowa will take place in September. All right. I guess we'll move on to the preview section here. Bert, your Dirt Kings are about, well, when's the last time they raced? When's the last time they had a points race? Out of gaming?
I don't even know when their last points race was. But they actually have two shows this week. They're going to be racing at Plymouth Dirt Track in Plymouth, Wisconsin on Friday night. That's actually one of their biggest paying shows on their schedule. I think it's like $4,100 or $4,200 to win. And then they'll be racing Sunday night at Gravity Park. They've never raced at Gravity Park Speedway before. That's by Chilton, Wisconsin. And that race actually replaces a race at Angel Park, which is down by Madison, Wisconsin. The county hasn't let any of the racetracks in that county open, so obviously they can't race at Angel Park if they're not allowed to open. So there'll be 2 Dirt Kings races, and then Plymouth and Shawano will have their regular shows on Saturday night. So late model drivers have the potential to race 3 nights this week in eastern Wisconsin. So we'll see how some of the drivers do. Maybe another one can pop into the top 10 if they roll off 3 straight wins or something like that.
Bert, can you get the video footage from all 3 of those nights and send us over the features so that way, I'm sure something cool will happen there. That way we can see it. I'm not sure if it's being streamed, but can you get us the features for those?
I will see what I can do. I know I can get you Shawano's for sure. I'm not sure about the other ones, but I'll see what I can do.
Awesome.
All right, Ryan, are you going to put your butt down in a seat down at Falls on Wednesday? This is your chance. You've been talking about Fairbury. It's time for the Summer Nationals to kick her back in gear.
Well, what's disappointing is Florence, their first race is on Wednesday. So Lucas Oil and Florence is racing Wednesday, Thursday, and then the Friday, Saturday doubleheader. Now, with that said, I don't know if these guys are going to who's going to be in. I don't know who's going to be in Fairbury. I know that Pierce, I know that Tyler Erb, I know them guys. It's on their schedule to already be in Florence on Wednesday. So poor planning there on Fairbury's part to even have that show against the opening night of the Crown Jewel down there. So I'm really, really curious. And actually, my buddy Jeff's the one who pointed that out because I said, man, I was jacked up. I'm going. He goes, hey, here's the deal. You're going to Fairbury, but who's going to be there? He goes, aren't all them guys going to be in Florence? I'm like, well, they don't run Wednesday. He's like, yeah, they do. So I had to look it up, and he was right.
I didn't know that either.
He was right.
Jeez, I didn't know that either.
That's why he's our late model analyst. Right? That's why he's right.
So is it Wednesday complete show or Wednesday and then Thursday complete show?
Wednesday's a complete show, Thursday's a complete show, and then Friday, Saturday is the I believe $40,000 to win for the North-South 100.
Well, yeah, it'll be interesting to see because some of those guys could look at it, say, well, geez, do I want to go race against all of that when I could, go because you know what you're going to get at Falls, you're going to get a great track. So yeah, I mean, not that Florence isn't, but I'm just saying, you know what I mean? You might get some of those guys that say, geez, if I could kind of race closer to home, sleep in my old bed for another night and then head down. But wow, that is interesting.
2 things on that, right? Number 1 will be the weather. So they'll look at the weather to decide if the weather looks crappy in Florence or whatever, then that might determine everything right there. But then the other thing, it's like a paid test session. I mean, I think it's $12,000 to win on Wednesday. So I believe, I could be wrong. I'd have to look at that. I think it's $12,000 to win on Wednesday. So they can look at that and say, you know what, we can race for $12,000 to win and really sharpen our pencil, between Wednesday and Thursday. So when we get to Friday, we have like a full notebook on what we like on the car. So that way they can be ready to go for $40,000 to win. So it'll be interesting to see for sure. So I have not yet decided if I'm going to go to Fairbury. I'll be watching it regardless because I believe that's going to be on Dirt Vision. So I will be watching it, but I'm a little skeptical about going down and spending the money now that Florence is racing because I just don't know. I can watch both of them from home.
Right. Do we want to make some picks for Florence, guys? Bert, who's hot?
Oh, you always ask me first.
Well, I felt like the first few times we did picks, we would always pick. We were always last, so I feel like I'm self-conscious about not calling on you.
Okay, I'll go with the Madden thing from last year and go with Overton.
Oh, okay. The repeat.
The repeat.
2 in a row on the Crown Jewels.
Yes.
Brian, who you liking?
Rocket 1.
Rocket 1, yeah. So some engine troubles at Cedar Lake for those of you race fans that didn't catch that. He was smoking, ended up needing to be pushed off. So you got Rocket 1. Well, I guess that leaves the other Rocket. Well, I guess Overton's in a Longhorn, but may as well go with Jimmy Owens then just to kind of round it out because those are definitely the top 3 drivers right now. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Wow, lots of racing going on down there. All right, well, I guess that gets us to the last lap segment where we have 1 to go. So some sad news in Wazzotaland, Ryan, down at I-94 for September's big race.
Yeah, interesting. Wissota 100 canceled for the 2020 season. By now, everybody knows about that, of course. For the life of me, I don't understand why they didn't just move it to South Dakota, Wisconsin, something like that. But I-94 is still going to run. I believe it's going to be King of Dirt, or it's still going to be something like that, where they're going to run a 3-day show that same weekend. So there's going to be racing. And I know some other tracks in Wissota, because now when the Wissota 100 is going on, guys, it's the exclusive event. No other track's going to run a Wissota event that weekend. So now I-94 is going to run. What's going to be interesting to me is there going to be a handful of other tracks that decide, hey, we're going to have a show too. That might very well happen. So, yeah, no Wissota 100 for the 2020 season, no national points, no challenge series, no Advantage RV mod tour. Sucks.
Yeah, just kind of a throwaway year. Yeah, so the people at Cedar Lake were kind of scratching their heads too, like, wow, what does this mean for us? Are we going to have, do we need to start thinking about overflow pits? Do we need to start, looking at, we're going to start looking at this differently because, there was over 100, that was Thursday, right? That broke on Thursday. So, all right, speaking of I-94, so the Dick Johannick Memorial is coming up here, this Friday?
Yeah, 41. I think it's 41.87 to win I-94 Speedway. That's going to be on Dirt Race Central. It's actually I94speedway.tv if you can't make it there. But last year, this event, they ran it against Ogilvy. If you remember that, Ogilvy ran a doubleheader the week before Labor Day. They ran a Friday, Saturday Challenge Series deal. And I think the Challenge Series paid $2,000 to win each day. Half the Challenge Series guys skipped the Challenge Series show, went to the Dick Johannick Memorial because it paid a hell of a lot more. And I'm happy to see that there's not against anything this year. So that should be a very, very good show out there at I-94. I'm expecting to see over 40 late models at that. I think it should be really good on Friday night.
All right. And then to wrap up, a little Labor Day point fund is brewing.
Yeah, I was hoping to have all the details finalized here for the show, but we will be able to launch all that next week. But needless to say, no challenge series. Over Labor Day weekend, the Silver 1000, the Wissota Classic Labor Day Shootout, that's all challenge series. That brings a bunch of late model guys in, okay? Well, and also there's no late models this year at the Viking Speedway in Alex. They're not having late models on Labor Day weekend, which is great, right? Because now we might get some of them North Dakota cars. So what we're doing on that weekend is we're in the middle and we're close to being done, is we're putting together a point fund to pay the top 10. It will be for sure, it will be $2,000 to win you take them 4 shows, combined points over the 4 shows. So for late model guys, it's going to pay $3,000 to win Thursday night at ABC Raceway in Ashland. It's $3,500 to win at the Wissota Classic in Grand Rapids.
Wow.
And it's going to be $2,000 to win each day at the Labor Day Shootout in Hibbing. So when you add all that up, you got 2,400, you got 10,500, you got $12,500 possible over a 4-night swing up in northern Minnesota on Labor Day weekend. We're pretty excited about that for sure.
Wow, awesome. That's really good. Yeah, thank you for doing that. That's a great thing. And so no NLRA, that is interesting. Yeah, because they always race against down there. So yeah, it'd be nice. I don't know the last time I saw a North Dakota driver at the Labor Day Shootout. It's been several years.
It has.
So,
it's been too long.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Anything else, boys?
No, that's all I got. You guys going anywhere this weekend? Bert, I'll start with you. Are you going racing this weekend?
I am not sure yet. Being gone for 3, well, I will say 4 days, counting Sunday, because it's the day of recovery. I got to catch up on some things, and I have a family function on Saturday, so I'm not sure yet if I'll be going anywhere this week.
Yeah, I'm planning on. Late models Thursday in Grand Rapids, Ryan.
Nope, not this week. Next week.
Sprints. Okay.
This week, Hall of Fame night. It's actually a Larry Mackey Memorial Pure Stock Invitational. They're paying $400 to win for the Pure Stocks. A bunch of people have donated to that, so it's pretty cool. But it's going to be a full field of cars plus non-wing sprints. Next week is going to be late models back at the Dowlinger Ford Grand Rapids Speedway. Okay.
Well, yeah, I want to get out there and catch the sprints one night. So yeah, I suppose we'll do Thursday. Friday, probably nothing, but Saturday we'll get over to Hibbing, weather permitting, and that'll be that for the weekend. And I've got a slight urge to maybe try Mississippi Thunder a week from Friday, because they'll be having that special down there, the Dairyland. I think they call it the Dairyland. We'll talk more about that in next week's show. So we'll see. How about you? Or are you heading back to Illinois? I'm going to be catching
a whole lot of racing online this week. I think it's been 3 or 4 weeks in a row that I've been gone on the weekends. This weekend I'm not going anywhere. Thursday night, of course, Grand Rapids. I'll be watching that. I'll watch all the Lucas Oil stuff, the North South 100. I'm gonna watch some of the stuff on Dirt Vision with the Hell Tour. I'll watch that. Friday, I'm excited to watch the late models because Dirt Race Central is covering the Dick Johannick Memorial. That's going to be a great race to watch. Saturday, I'm not sure what I'll watch on Saturday. Probably the North South 100. Sunday, hopefully I get back. Hopefully the Bull Ring and Casino Speedway can run. But I'll be catching a bunch of racing online, swinging the golf clubs, and spending time with the better half.
All right. Well, that'll be a wrap. So yeah, have fun, guys. Drive safe on your way back there, Ryan. And like I said at the top of the show, everyone, if you could like, share, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, all those things you need to do on social media, we'd really appreciate it. And summer is slowly trickling to an end here. So if you have any other, like I said, racing plans, it's time to get out there. So with that, we'll wrap up. Get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the One to Go show.